Okay, welcome to Quarter Notes podcast presented by Los Cabos Drumsticks, Canada's #1 drumstick manufacturer. Before we get into this week's episode, just a little bit of housekeeping, and that is that you can see all previous episodes with myself and Rich Knox co-hosting on YouTube as well as Spotify. The links are going to be in the description. Also, we had like a bunch of really cool guests on that season, so do check it out. And oh, yes, we just launched an Instagram account for this, LCD Quarter Notes Pod on Instagram, and you can email lcdquarternotes@gmail.com. Send a DM, send an email, whatever it is, reach out, send some comments, some feedback, questions, anything at all. Happy to get everybody engaged. Really want to get this podcast to where I think it can be. Okay, so now on to this week's guest, and that is none other than Alejandro Serritiello. He's the drummer for Toronto's psychobilly horror band The Creepshow, and he's the new drummer for MakeWar. It's a band that's signed on a little label called Fat Records. They're just about to get on their new tour in support of their new album. Speaking of new albums, Alejandro also performed on the Anti-Queens' new record that is very soon to drop, so do check that out. And if he's not busy enough, he also works for Drumeo. I mean, I don't know where this guy has time, but he did make time for us, and I'm super thankful for that. So we get into his musical and his life journey. Originally, he's from Venezuela, but he found himself moving to Australia in his teens, and then finding himself in Canada playing with one of his favorite bands, The Creepshow. Now, this is all in the pursuit of following his dream of being in a band, playing music, meeting cool people. So we get into all of that in the podcast. So yeah, I'm not going to delay anymore. Please enjoy my conversation with Alejandro Serritiello. Today felt like a Monday on steroids.
Oh no,
Yeah,
those are
yeah,
the worst. Yeah, my day was pretty much like that too. I mean, I get to
yeah,
work from home, so at least that was
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Cool. So nice to meet you finally well, not in person, but as close to it, I guess, as we
Di
can.
Digital.
The digital home. Yeah, yeah. So you work from home. So yeah, you mentioned that you work for Drumeo.
Yes, I do. I work for Drumeo.
Um, I had Sam Landa on, I guess, season one of
Hmm.
this with Rich Knox when he was co-hosting,
Yeah, yeah.
and he had done tours with them. So it was kind of a little catch up for them. But she mentioned like she works for Drumeo and she works from home too.
Yeah,
She's based out of Montreal, right?
yeah. That's right.
Um,
She's a dear friend of mine. As a matter of fact, me and Emily went to her wedding last last summer.
yeah. I saw the photos. So and she's on tour right now with Conquer Divide supporting The Warning, which is kind of a big deal right now.
Which is massive. Yeah, dude, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So what do you do with Drumeo? Like I know she
So
does the blog or that kind of thing, but like
yeah, so my sort of like role with Drumeo, it's a little bit more hands-on with students directly. So the whole Drumeo Musora community, it's based sort of like four brands. You got Drumeo, Signo, Guitario, and Piano. So all together combined, we have close to like 100,000 students, which is pretty insane.
mhm,
So I am what it's called a mentor. So my role with Drumeo students, it's essentially connect with them, communicate with them, create a like a little rapport with them, and then just sort of like suggest lessons. They tell me their goals, like what they've been playing, how far they are in their drumming journey, if they're intermediate, beginner, advanced level, and I sort of like send them lessons, send them songs, things to sort of like keep them going
mhm.
while they're on the platform. So it's pretty cool. And as a matter of fact, I was working along yesterday, talking to this guy who wanted to pause his subscription. Ended up being the drummer for this band called Acid Kings, something like that. We turned out to be like this huge, massive band. After I looked them up, I was just like, "Holy crap, these guys are massive!"
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with the drummers. A lot of us, we're always looking to evolve and improve because none of us have, well, no matter how good we get, we're never going to feel like we've mastered the instrument, because there's always, you see something somebody else has done and you're like, oh, that's cool, I want to do that. Or,
Mm.
so, and we're always like our own worst critic. Do
Mhm.
you, like, when you're working with the students, like, do you provide like critiques and feedback on like form and like technique and that kind of stuff too?
Not myself. That is a different part of the business. Those are what you can call Drumeo coaches. So within
Okay.
the platform, there's a section of something called student reviews, or student focus, where basically Drumeo students can just like film videos of themselves, so like playing along to something, and then submit that student review, and then coaches, people like Jared himself, or
Hmm.
K-Rat from Drumeo, or Brandon Toes, or Aaron Edgar, who used to play with it for a huge metal band back in the day. They're sort of like the Drumeo coaches, and they're the ones that sort of like provide feedback and do all that kind of stuff
Okay.
for the company. But
Mm. So
it's pretty cool.
some of those video, like, as I watched the drum department
Mhm.
podcast or video, so like they'll have like a video at the end where they show somebody's chops or something like that. So I'm guessing that's kind of where those videos would come from.
Exactly. That's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. Drum department's super popular. And normally, what you get on YouTube, you only get half of the show, because after it ends on YouTube, then it carries on for another hour inside the Drumeo members area,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to always be there and sort of like hang out in the chat with everybody. And I mean, I've got the opportunity to go to the studio a couple times, to the Christmas parties and stuff, and it's awesome. It's awesome what the company does, how much they support musicians, and
Mhm.
especially drummers like
Yeah,
us.
yeah. And the Drumeo Awards are taking off like crazy. Like,
Well, believe it or not, that was Sam's Landa's baby.
yeah.
That was her initiative, her idea. She built it, she nursed it to life, and that was her vision.
Hmm.
So very proud of Sam
Yeah,
for
yeah.
doing that massive thing, and it's just becoming, from what I saw on social media, some people called it the Grammys of drummers.
Yeah. I mean, and this is like, how many years has it been now? Like, just because it's pretty early on. Like, it's only been
Yeah,
2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years. Yeah, I think it was this was the second or third edition. Not 100% sure. I feel that I should know this like spot on, but it was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, everything Drumeo is doing right now is kind of just taking off.
Hmm.
Especially with all the drummers and the gets that they've been getting, some pretty high profile.
Yeah,
One of the ones that I thought was really awesome that they got was Tommy Aldridge,
yeah,
and the drum kit that he used was a Yamaha Phoenix kit,
yep.
which is Mike Millay, who I grew up with here in New Brunswick in Miramichi. Like, me and Mike go way back to like when we were kids, and it was his drum kit that the Drumeo had gotten, because it was the only Yamaha Phoenix kit
Wow.
that they could get, and because Tommy gets what Tommy wants, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Of
he's
course.
earned it.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that was
dude,
kind of cool.
you should see right next to the studio, the person that's sort of like in charge of managing the entire, you can say, warehouse of Drumeo. It's a really nice guy called Tyson, and the storage for drum kits, dude, it is mind blowing. You walk in and your jaw just drops. It's just like walls and walls and walls of drum kits. And then you go to a second floor, it's just like walls of cymbals and skins and hardware. It's pretty crazy. It's
Yeah, yeah.
pretty cool.
I'm sure like they could easily, like, especially like with certain drummers that come in and use that kit, like they could easily auction any of those kits off, for
Yeah, who knows?
charity or for whatever. But I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of reminiscent of at the end of Indiana Jones, the big warehouse with all the boxes where they
Mhm.
put the what is it, the, oh, and I'm drawing another blank. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do, I do. I mean, the cool thing about this company, it's like, in my opinion, it's the best company in the world. It's just incredible that everyone in it, every single person in the company, is just 100% an empath person. Everyone's so nice and down to earth. There's no egos. There's just passion and hard work. So,
yeah.
and that's one thing that I am so proud to be part of that, and to be able to sort of like transmit my experiences to people that are like, aspiring to maybe one day get on a tour bus and, play 30 shows on the other
Yeah,
side of the world.
yeah.
It's pretty cool to be able to pass on those experiences to someone else.
Hmm. So you're originally from Australia, right?
So I lived in Australia. I am an Australian, but I was born in Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
So I was
Um,
born in Caracas, Venezuela, and then when I was young, my teens, I decided to move to Australia because Venezuela back in that time, it was just an impossible place to live in.
Mhm.
And so I just decided to make the jump to Australia. I became an Aussie, even though that I don't talk to one. I don't talk like one, thank God. Um, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. So while I was in Australia, after spending a few years not playing drums at all, because obviously I had to focus on a career, I had to focus on making a life,
Mhm.
making money, etc. I left sort of like my drummer part of me sort of like marginalized, like hiding. And then one day I just decided to pick it back up again. And it was pretty funny how it worked out. I didn't even know what to do at the point. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start playing drums again. I need a band, I guess. And I remember looking on a website, like bands and like for band people looking for band members and stuff. And
Yeah, like a bulletin board kind of.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. And I came across this ad for this band playing like ska punk called the Resignators. And it turned out that this band had released a couple of records on Stomp Records here in Canada. But at the time, I didn't know. For me, it
Mhm.
was just like, oh, cool opportunity. I'm gonna join a band. I didn't know that they had sort of like a career going on or anything. And I joined the band, and before I knew it, I was in an airplane coming to Canada for a tour. And so that was pretty cool. And on that tour, I remember we play in Toronto, we play in Montreal, we play in Sherbrooke, a few places in Quebec, play in London, Ontario, and it was so much fun. That was sort of like what made me go back to drums.
Mhm. And was that your first time into Canada on that tour?
That was my first time in Canada. Yeah,
Okay.
that was
And
in
then have
2016.
did you go back or did you just stay?
I did. So I went back, and something happened on the tour that actually sort of like changed it all for me. Um, we were playing at the Bovine Sex Club in Toronto, which is this sort of like legendary
Yeah, it's
punk rock.
legendary. Yep.
We're playing, and after our set, the lead singer from the Resignators comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Ali, there's someone at the back that wants to meet you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I'm just walking to the back, and all of a sudden, I see this guy with this massive long beard, like a Maple Leafs hat, and I'm like, "Holy crap! This is a bass player for the Creepshow," which was
Hmm.
like, I love that band. Like I went to see them when they went to Australia. I used to listen to them when I used to live in Venezuela, so I was a big fan of the band. So I remember I got approached by him and with his typical Sean McNabb, "Hey man," and I was like, "Oh my God, you're the guy for the Creepshow," trying to like not fangirl as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
And and he asked me like, "Hey man, have you ever thought about moving to Canada?" And I was like, "No, why would I do that? It's too friggin' cold in here. Like, I'll go back to Australia where this is million degrees the whole year. Why why would I want to do that?" But anyway, we'd stayed in touch for a couple years. Always, we became sort of like friends after that night, and we always stayed in touch and each other music and whatever. After a couple of years, the Creepshow decided to go to Australia, and during that time, the Resignators were gonna be the ones doing the support for that tour, which was pretty awesome. So I was super excited about that. I was like, "Oh, I'm get to tour, with a band that I really like. I'm so
Yeah.
pumped. That's
Hmm.
amazing." 2 nights or 2 days into the tour, I remember I'm just having a coffee with Kenda, the lead singer, in a hotel somewhere, because we were in Brisbane, which is the north part of Australia, and we had to fly down to Melbourne, which was the next show. We had a day off the next day, and so we had to sort of like time to like hang out in Australia for a couple of days or whatever. So me and Kenda were gonna travel, not on the same flight, but pretty close back to Melbourne from Brisbane, and we're having a coffee in the morning, and then all of a sudden Kenda goes, "So Ali, how'd you like to join the Creep Show?" I'm like, "What?" Like, like I was like blown away. I'm like, "Wait, what's happening? Like, did you just ask me that?" She goes, "Yeah. Like a couple of years ago, Sean told us about you, and we've been, talking about you for the last couple of years. And now that we all seen you, we want to ask you if you want to join our band." I was just like, "Oh my God." So that's sort of like how it happened. And long story short, a year later, I was actually not a year later, that same year, on November, I flew back to Canada to do a run with the Creepshow in Western Canada, in Alberta and British Columbia and stuff.
Mhm.
And then I went back to Australia for a couple months to sort of like settle a couple things, and then I just moved for good back to Canada, and here we are.
Wow. So when, what year would that have been when you joined the Creep Show? Like 16, 17?
I joined, my first tour with them was 2018. It was
Oh,
November
okay.
2018.
Okay. So it was a bit later than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're not featured on any of the studio albums.
No. And
Okay.
during the pandemic, we've been working on the new record for quite a while, but because of, nature and some other forces, we haven't been able to sort of like finish it. But
Hmm.
I tracked my drums, most 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 of them, I think I did, at least. But yeah, my drum parts are ready. But it's just a matter of just, getting together and finishing the record.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've seen some of the live footage on YouTube. You guys did that thing during COVID, like a lot of bands
Yeah.
did, where they did like live stream shows. I mean, to do it not in front of an audience and still have that high energy and putting on the show is, I mean, the pros, you can tell the pros from the amateurs when you put on that kind of show. But I
Hmm.
found like the difference from your drumming, and this isn't a knock on the other drummers from the band before because they were all incredible drummers. The drum parts are killer.
Hmm.
They're pretty complex songs to play, and to play
Yeah.
with that much energy and live, I found like it was sort of like an upgrade in the drumming, like just your style with the band, the energy that you bring to the live show, I thought was phenomenal.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for saying that, because I've always thought the complete opposite, considering, previously that the shoes I had to fill for the two people that were previously in the Creep Show, Matt Pomade and Sandro Sanciani. Sandro, to this day, I still say he's one of the most insane drummers I've ever seen,
Hmm.
and like I have no other contestants like
Yeah, no.
right there on that top spot. Like, and so one of the things that I first thought when they asked me to join the band, I thought there is no way that I can pull that off. Like, those drum parts are absolutely insane. So thank you so much. And
Hmm.
I'm going to that show. It is a little bit weird when you're sort of like doing those live things and there's no audience. But I have an even weirder one for you. This one was one of the weirdest experiences I think I've had with any band. This would have been in October 2020, when everything was shut down. There was no shows, there was no nothing. We got an opportunity to play something called the Devil's Night in Toronto. They were doing it on October 30th before Halloween. So they organized this event, massive event, dude, massive stage, like incredible sound, incredible PA, incredible equipment. Backline was spot on, and we were gonna headline it. But the catch was that the people attending to the show had to be in their cars. So tickets were sold per cars and not per people. So you could have up to 5 people in a car. And I'm pretty sure we sold it out. And it was like, pretty sure it was like 400 cars, something like 350, 400 cars. So like parked in front of the stage. And whenever we finish a song, people just like set the blinkers off and just honk their horns. And that's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And that's a cool memory that, that I get to take to the grave, because it was an awesome awesome experience. It was super weird.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some like stand-up comedians talk about that where they're like the weirdest thing. Like it's like you're on the stage and it's like you're in a drive-in theater with
Yeah,
all the cars and it's just lights flashing and
and
like
people just
you're not
honking.
hearing yeah, you're not hearing anybody laugh. You're not like it's kind of a different reaction. So you don't
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
if the bit's working or So
Yeah, so that
yeah,
one, and it was awesome. But yeah, so definitely that one was even weirder than doing like the online thing for people to watch at home, which we did a couple of them.
yeah, yeah. That's still cool. It's still, but it was good to keep busy during that time because, I mean,
Hmm.
as far as performing arts, like that was the first thing to go, when everything
Yeah.
shut down. So,
Oh, 100%. And we almost got caught before everything shut down. We were on tour when everything was sort of like starting to happen. And when you're on touring, especially in Europe, you have no idea what's going on in the outside
mhm.
world. So I remember we were on tour with another punk band from the States, and we played in Cardiff in Wales, and then we had to drive back to London. And when we got to London airport, we walk into the airport to catch our flights, and everyone was wearing a freaking mask, and we're like, "Whoa, what is happening?" And immediately everyone was like, staff from the airport, "Get a mask. Here's a mask." And we're like, "Dude, what is going on?"
Yeah.
We had no idea what was happening in the outside world.
Yeah. And it happened quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it happened really quick. So if we can kind of go back in time to like the young you when you
Mhm.
first started getting into music, like what was your earliest memory of hearing music and being like, that's kind of what I want to do, or drums?
It was my mom and dad, definitely. My mom and dad were always huge with music, especially with bands like Queen. Um, Queen, it's something that it's always been so deep inside me, that love for that band in particular. There's actually videos of me, I think my mom's got them somewhere, of me in like my little crib that they're playing Queen. I'm just like going crazy on my little crib as a 2 year old, just listening to Queen. And so that's probably my earliest memory, having that band. Remember one time, a story that I told some of my friends, my oldest friends, one day getting home from school or school night or something like that, some school event, and my dad was just sitting in the living room with almost everything blacked out, listening to Black Sabbath, having a whiskey, and I'm just like, I got the coolest dad in the world.
Nice.
So yeah, so that was sort of like my in into music was definitely my parents, and
Mhm.
but then my in into punk rock was through my family as well. A couple of cousins of mine, Richard and Anthony, they live in the States and in Scotland, each of them now, but they're the ones that got me into punk music. They're the ones that showed me that first ever band that I listened to. If I can remember, I think it might have been Mill and Colin was the very
Oh
first band,
wow.
the first band
That
they
was
showed me.
that was the gateway.
Yeah,
Millencolin.
yeah, that was the first punk band that I heard, and obviously, typical kid at the time, around mid '90s, late '90s, "Enema of the State" came out from Blink
Hmm.
182, and obviously for a lot of people that was sort of like a turning point in terms of you know punk rock
Yeah.
music. Just became that mainstream when Blink came out with that record. That you know that's I think that was a turning point for a lot of people, and it was for me for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. For me, No Effects, Pennywise, and Rancid were kind of the the trifecta
Mm.
into
Rancid was
punk.
there too, actually. Rancid was in probably the second band that they showed me. I remember
Hmm.
they showed me Maxwell Murder, the
Oh
first track
yeah,
for Not Come the Wolves, and I was hooked. I was like, this is the best band in the world.
yeah. Oh, that album cover to cover. I mean,
Oh, that
a lot of the
entire record.
Rancid, a lot of the Rancid stuff cover to cover is pretty good, but I mean
Hmm. Yeah,
that particular
yeah,
album,
that record is just a work of art.
yeah, 100%. So I was listening to, like I said, Smelly and Brett Reed from Rancid, so the fast, no effects punk, and then the ska punk. Um, so what were the drummers that you kind of started to gravitate towards, like specifically with drumming?
Um, Definitely Travis Barker. I have to say Travis Barker, smelly, 100% smelly. That's that heel toe on the kick drum, that
Hmm.
tupa 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 tupa. That
But
was
butt
always
fuck titty
like,
fuck, I think he
yeah,
that's what he calls
100%.
it, butt fuck titty fuck. Yeah.
That was always like, I always loved that. I always wonder like, how does he get to do that double so quickly? And then throughout, going to my drum lessons with the drum teacher that I had back in the day, I sort of like started developing it. And yeah, once I got it, I never let go, and that's
Hmm.
my my to go thing. But definitely Travis Barker, Smelly, Taylor Hawkins was definitely up there too. Um, and then out of above all of them, which I've always said to all my friends, people that know me really well, they all know who my favorite drummer is. It's Mr. Josh Freese. He's probably my
I
biggest
mean,
inspiration when it comes to swinging sticks and sit behind the kit.
yeah, I mean he's done it all, like
He's done it all.
every genre, every band. I mean,
Yep.
to be able to be on tour with Foo Fighters and then just Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Perfect Circle and just play a bunch of
Hmm.
shows with them real quick. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
come
mean,
on.
I've seen Josh with so many different people. I've never got the chance to meet him, and I hope that I will because I'll probably cry. And but I've seen him with a Perfect Circle. I've seen him with Sublime, with Rome. I've seen him with the Vandals. Who else have I seen him with? I've seen him with the Offspring. Who else have I seen him with? I've seen him with a bunch of people. I haven't had the
Mhm.
chance to see him with the Foo Fighters, but hopefully I'll get to see him soon.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna be getting back on tour there probably pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna. I don't think the end is nowhere near the end for the Foo Fighters.
Nope, it's
Dave
definitely not.
Dave is just too much. There's just too much for him to do.
Yeah, they're just getting warmed up. Like they say whenever they play a show, you know. I remember last time I saw them, he started the show saying like, "I hope you fuckers don't have work tomorrow because this is gonna be a long ass show."
Yeah. So you mentioned you took some lessons. Like, so how long did you do formal lessons?
So I started playing the drums like properly with like a drum instructor with lessons when I was 10, 11. And that's when I first started. My very first drum teacher was a guy called Hernan Gomez from Venezuela. I was still in touch. Super awesome, super nice guy. He taught me so much, so much. My typical rudiments, progressions, and he was kind enough to when my mom and dad bought my first drum kit, which everyone in my building was super against,
Of
but
course.
my mom and dad didn't give a fuck and they did it regardless. So thanks, mom and
Nice.
dad. He was nice enough to come over and he tuned the kit for me, and so that way when I came out to the surprise, it was like all ready to rip. But so I was with him for a few years, and then he recommended me to go to his drum teacher, which was a guy called Jose Matos. And this guy, what a character, dude. Unbelievable drummer, unbelievable teacher, unbelievable at everything that he did. But do you remember the movie Whiplash?
Yes.
He was kind of like that.
Okay.
um,
So pretty hardcore.
yeah, but I don't know if in a good way or a bad way, but I'll give you an example. Just have a drumstick. Oh, here we go. Actually, I got a 2B right here.
Oh,
Um,
that's not your usual weapon.
it is now.
It is now.
It,
Okay.
it is
We'll,
now.
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Okay.
So whenever someone's learning how to play drums, and you probably will know this, one of the things that you do for inertia is like your pinky will come out like that, right? Whenever you're learning, for some reason your pinky will always come out. So I'll be doing my things with him, even after a couple years playing, um, my pinky will still do that. And he got to the point where he got so annoyed at it that whenever I did it, he'll grab a stick and just like whack my pinky. So for me to stop doing it, and it worked because I never did it again. But now my pinky's all fucked because of it.
So now it's slowing you down.
Yep.
Um, so so your latest project that you've been working with and that you released a song recently, which is a banger of a song, with Make War.
Yes.
How did you kind of come across those guys to then kind of become their new drummer?
So Jose Prieto, he's the lead singer and founder of MakeWar together with Edwin. So me and Jose are both from Venezuela,
Mhm.
and I never got the opportunity to meet Jose when I used to live in Venezuela, but I did get the opportunity to go to one of his shows because he used to play in a band called I think it was something like Go-Go Punkers or something like that back
Mhm.
in Venezuela in who knows early 90s or late 90s, something like that, early 2000s. And that was super. It was his goodbye party because he was moving to the States. So I went to that show, whatever. We lost touch for who knows how long. And then Pusa Fest 2019. Yeah, Pusa Fest 2019. I wasn't playing. I was just fresh off the boat, moved from Australia to Canada, so I wanted to go to Pusa to hang out. And turned out that MakeWar was playing that year. And so we messaged each other, we reconnected again, and we just stayed in touch. We became friends finally, and we just stayed in touch. And then this would have been December 2022. Yeah, December 2022. I get a call from Jose wanting to have a chat with me because at that time another friend of mine called Daniel, Daniel, he from Venezuela too, was playing drums for them. But Daniel was on his way out for the band. He was leaving the band. Excuse me. And Jose sort of like asked him straight out, "Hey man, I want you to be the MakeWar drummer. I don't have anyone else in mind. The only person I want in my band is you." So I just said, "Yeah, absolutely." You know,
Because
it was
they're on Fat Records, yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So on that's number one. That was my absolute dream come true to be part of a band that's signed with a label like Fat Red Records. That's probably one of my one of the things that I had on my bucket list was to achieve something like that. Secondly, I love the band. The band had awesome songs, and there were awesome people too. So it was just wins everywhere. So I decided to join, and then yeah, we had a pretty good 2023. Um, my first show with them was in Colombia. The funny thing is that so Jose and Edwin, they're both based in Brooklyn, New York City, and I'm in Toronto. So it's not like we get the opportunity to like get together and jam. So my first show was my first jam with them, which was pretty funny. It was just like straight into the deep end, just learn the songs and we just gave her. And
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah. I mean, when you get along with somebody on a personal level, that you kind of form that bond and that chemistry so that when you do, and you have to be at least somewhat proficient at what you're doing
Mhm.
and, be prepared, you know.
Yeah,
So, but with all of that combined, that's when like real magical moments happen on stage, like that you just
100%.
can't anticipate.
100%. And it's I don't know what your approach will be when it comes to like learning new material, but my approach it's it might be a little bit psychotic, but my approach is I just listen to the music on repeat for like months. Like, and I'm not kidding. I'll just have while I'm awake, I will just have my headphones on, just listening to it on repeat for weeks, dude. Like weeks before I even attempt to play them on drums. And that's sort of like what I did with MakeWar. That's what I did for Creepshow. Um, that's what I did as well. A couple of years ago, I was gonna fill in a couple of shows in the States for Planet Smashers, but at the end it didn't happen because
Mhm.
Scott, their drummer, he had surgery, but then he got better, so he managed to do the shows. But I had to like learn the material, and learning it was just the same approach, just like listening to it like a mad person on loop, and that way, you know, the songs are like buried in your brain, and then it becomes muscle memory.
Yeah. And
And
that's
yeah.
another thing when it comes to practicing. Like I know, like if you're say there's a certain rhythmic pattern that you want to do, that's why they always say to do it slow,
Hmm.
because then your brain has time to connect the dots, and then like you'll do it and you'll fuck it up and you'll get frustrated and then you'll walk away. Then the next day you'll come back to it and it'll just click
Yeah.
because your brain has had time to program your muscles to do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the
1,000%.
same thing, and I'm the same way when it comes to learning songs. Like I'll ad nauseum, like just repeat album after album, like the same album over and over and over again
Yeah.
until I'm
It's like
I'm
going
almost
to
sick of it.
it's like going to the gym, but for your brain, pretty
Yeah,
much.
100%. Yeah. Um, so what when it comes to practicing, like do you sort of divvy it into like pad work and then kit work, or are you just straight on the kit all the time?
A little bit of both, actually. I got a drum kit here at home. It's not an acoustic drum because I don't live in a house, and I know the people that live in this building would probably kill me if I did. So I got an e kit which I use here at home, and that's what I use. I also got a couple pads here that sometimes I'll be just I don't know watching TV or whatever, or just watching something on the computer, and I'll just sit there with my pad and just doing doubles or doing whatever exercise, paradiddles or whatever. Just like not
Yeah.
even thinking about it, just like do it without even paying attention because I know that my hand's still doing it, and that also helps me to sort of like
Mhm.
you know for some reason it allows me to have a little bit of more control when I play.
Mhm.
So like be distracted from the task of actually doing the thing, but just paying attention to something else. Because when you're drumming and you're playing a show live, especially with MakeWar, that now I have to do backup vocals, it's important for me to that the drum parts just come automatic so I can like really focus on hitting those notes.
Mhm.
Or like the harmonies and stuff, especially because we're a three-piece. So it's only three instruments, there's only three vocals, there's nowhere to hide, you know? So it's super important that those vocals are on point, that the drum parts are on point, and yeah, especially being just the three of us.
Yeah. So when you're practicing like that around the house, that must drive Emily insane.
Not really. I
No?
mean, she says that she can hear it a little bit. Um, I try not to hit the kick drum because we got someone
Yeah,
up there that doesn't like it too much.
yeah,
But I feel that I don't really need it whenever I'm like sort of like practicing the sets and stuff. And yeah, I don't need
like
it. But mainly
but
when
when
I
you're watching TV, like like in the
yeah, no,
living room and
if I have Em around, I'm not gonna bring the pad and stuff because she will like probably grab the stick and throw it at me.
yeah. So yeah, I met Emily last year at the Punkocalypse
Yeah, you
Festival.
were saying.
Yeah, Anti Queens kind of saved the day because DOA was supposed to headline,
Mhm.
and then Joey had a hernia, so he had to back out last
Oh
minute.
no, those are really
Yeah,
nice guys, by the way. They're
yeah.
awesome.
Well, we're going to be playing with them in June, so they're coming back for this year.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
that's cool. And so yeah, so anyway, so I was hanging out with the rest of the Anti Queens backstage, and I don't know if there was a mix up with not that there was any like catering or whatever, but there was no food backstage or it hadn't gotten there. And I just live like 2 hours away from where it is. So I drove up and of course like, pack a lunch or whatever, because you're not making a whole lot of money. You don't want to spend it all on food, right?
Yep.
So my wife had packed me this gluten-free coffee cake,
Okay.
and it was a really good looking cake. So, but anyway, I gave it to the band, and by the time I went back out to the car because I had a big bag of chips as well because I was just like giving shit away. By the
Mhm.
time I got back, like the cake was gone. Like it was.
That is so funny. I can't wait to tell her that.
Yeah. So Mike and Emily and Val just kind of just devoured it. It was kind of
And
funny.
that's awesome. They're
Yeah.
really nice people. They're some of the best people, and
Yeah.
they're one of the most hardworking bands I've ever met. Like, hats off to them. These guys can work and they work hard. So I hope that the future brings nothing but massive and great things for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the new single is pretty awesome, and as I understand, did you play drums on the entire new album or just a few tracks?
Yeah, the entire record. I did the
The
entire
entire
record.
record.
Mhm.
Okay. But you won't be touring with them because you'll be busy with Make War on their tour.
Yeah, I mean, I whenever they need me and I'm free, I always want to play with them. Like I always have so much fun playing those songs. They're so much fun to play. There's so much weight and like heaviness to the songs that when I guess when you have someone that likes to hit the drums hard like I do, it's sort of like clicks. So I don't know. I love playing shows with them. Um, I don't know if I'm playing or maybe I'll be playing a couple shows with them this year. Hopefully, we played together in November. I think I filled in a couple shows with them. There was the day where Em had a little accident and she dislocated her knee after the show.
Oh, yeah, I saw her post that on social. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty crazy because we're supposed to play in Toronto and then the next day in Montreal. And in Montreal, I was gonna do double duty because I was playing Creepshow and Anti Queens. And but unfortunately, what what happened with him? We ended up in the hospital together until like 7 a.m. And then I got picked up and drove to Montreal. So I was pretty tired that that
Yeah, yeah.
night.
So how is that toured? Like, how's that dynamic? Where the two of you are in pretty popular bands like that go out on the road quite a bit. That must be a little challenging to schedule time together, or it makes the time together when you are able to be, physically in the same room or go on vacation or whatever together. It must make those times a lot more special or valuable.
100%, 100% he does. I mean, we also have um we also have this thing that we both work from home. because and it's also part of the same company as me. So we both work from home. So I guess that's helps us a lot when it comes to like being on the road and stuff. Because yeah, it's challenging. Like for example, last year, I was away on her birthday and I was away on my birthday. So last year we couldn't spend any of our birthdays with each other. So that was a little bit tricky.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, we both get home. We both love being home with one another. We got a little dog called Ivy as well, and we just love spending time together as much as we can and whenever we can, really.
Hmm. And also, I guess just the fact that you both do the same type of thing for a living, you understand, what it is to be
Hmm.
on the road and to be away when you don't want to be away, because
Hmm.
it's not easy. Like a lot of people fantasize about being a musician and touring and doing, it's hard fucking work.
It is. It is. It's not easy. Like a lot of people think that it's what a lot of the like rock and roll song says that it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It is not. It's a lot of not showering, eating like shit, not sleeping. Everyone smells, and you're gonna party every night, you want it or not.
Yeah. 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 Sometimes you like after the show, you just want to, okay, I need a break. But, then that crowd or that group of fans, like you don't want to shut them out because they paid their money and they came to the show. You want to give them your attention because without them, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. So that can be kind of tricky as well.
Yeah, 100%. And the cool thing with like mine and Anne's dynamic is that we we support each other a lot, and we sort of like try to pump each other a lot whenever you know someone's gonna, let's say she's away playing a show, like she was this past weekend. She was on tour with Bowling for Soup, and I got to go to one of the shows, but like the other nights she'll tell me, hey, I'm gonna go hit stage, talk to you later. So I'll always be like, you got this, blah blah, go get him. And whenever I'm the one that's playing shows, he's always like that with me too, just pumping me up, just giving me encouragement. So it's so nice that we have that dynamic where we support each other and we pump each other off and we just vibe off each other. And then if you add playing shows together, it's even more special. That's
Mhm.
like one of my favorite things to do. It's playing shows with her.
That's a whole other type of, like we talk about chemistry with your bandmates and stuff
Mhm.
like that. Having that type of interpersonal connection with somebody on stage, like it's got to be that much more special than just being with one of the bros or one of the guys.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Yeah, it's super, super special. And I really hope that I get to do it a lot more.
well, I'm sure you will. I mean, you've got the chops, so I'm sure she appreciates your level of talent and preparedness and professionalism when you do
Yeah,
play with them.
I know she does.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so how did you come across Los Cabos Drumsticks? Like, when was the first time that you kind of noticed that brand and kind of play with those sticks?
So that was actually, I was still living in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia.
Really?
Yeah. There used to be a local drum shop, which was about 2-minute walk from where I used to live in Melbourne. I can't remember the name. No, it's not gonna come back to me. But I remember I needed to go and grab sticks to like go on the creep show run. And I'm like, "Oh, I gotta go and get sticks. This is gonna be expensive because we all know how like about in that time I was playing with can I say brands?
If you do, I'll just bleep it, but it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
okay. It's playing with another brand, and
Right. Yeah.
um and back in Australia, everything's super expensive in Australia. So a pair of sticks for the brand that I was playing with, it was like $32, like one pair of sticks, and I was just like, whew, this is not gonna be good. I'm gonna just drop like $500 in here and just sticks. But anyway, then I saw proudly Canadian owned and made Los Cabos Drumsticks. I'm like, what is that? So I grabbed a pair, and immediately the feel was really nice. It was a white hickory 5B pair. And I was like, whoa, this feels like really nice. I like the feel. I like the wood. The length is awesome. And I was like, it's Canadian. I mean, I'm gonna move to Canada. I've always been someone that it's proud to support local businesses and local industries. And I'm gonna move to Canada. So heck yeah, I'm going to start supporting this brand. Why not? And I bought myself a few pairs and whatever, and I loved it. And after that, I just, I never been endorsed or anything by anybody before, but people from the Creepshow were like encouraging me, like, yeah, you should maybe, shoot them a message. Who knows? And that's exactly what I did. And before I knew it, I was chatting with Phil,
Bill's the
Rowdy,
man.
Rowdy Phil. He's awesome. I love Phil. I haven't
Yeah.
had a chance to meet him in person, but he's always been so kind and nice and so attentive to anything, so accommodating to any request. He's amazing, amazing, and I'm so happy that I got to meet him and get in contact with him. And yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, yeah. So you were playing the 5B Intense. Was that your kind of your go-to stick for a while?
Yes, that was the reason for that was that I found with the other brand that I was playing, they used to have a model that it was also very similar that would have like an extra maybe inch of length. Um, I think they call it the power model, that
Okay.
brand, which was like an extra inch or something like that. So I noticed that Los Cabos had something similar with the intense model. And the reason I do that is because I find that it's so much more comfortable to have that little extra length. It allows so much more control, especially when playing fast. And for things like Creepshow, that you do a lot of triplets, a lot of rebounds, a lot of ghost notes, having that extra length, it just allowed me to play so much more faster and precise. So, and that's the reason why I went with that model.
Yeah, that extra inch, half inch, it changes where your fulcrum is. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like a baseball player that would choke up on the bat to have a quicker swing,
Exactly.
right? So it's
Yeah.
all that inertia. There's a lot of science that goes behind just a simple piece of wood.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. And one of the things that I remember noticing growing up from obviously one of the most mainstream punk drummers, Travis Barker, I always noticed like on his videos, he kind of looked like he was like grabbing his sticks like this.
yeah,
And I
he still
always
does.
noticed that he still does. But then I realized one time that I saw one of his signature pair of sticks. I noticed that they were freaking huge. And I was like, oh, that's probably why he's playing bigger sticks because they do make the difference. Having longer sticks just gives you that much extra control.
And he comes from the um, the band background, like the marching band,
Yeah,
the band course. So they have massive sticks and they
massive
have
sticks.
the
Yep.
round ball tips.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and
yeah, so
he still uses model like that. If you see to this day the Travis Barker custom signature stick, you have the round tip, just like that, just like a marching band, and the length it's just crazy.
and I mean I know Los Cabos have a marching stick which is similar as far as like the ball tip. I think it's a bit thicker
Hmm.
because the marching sticks are like massive. They're huge.
Yeah, they're massive.
Yeah. So you showed you had a 2B stick. So what made you switch from the 5B Intense to the 2B?
When I started playing with MakeWar, that's sort of like when I noticed I started playing shows with the guys, and with the creep show parts are just absolutely crazy. They have so many like fast things and triplets, and you have to fly on the kit and like so many doubles on your left and your right hand. Which I'll tell you this a little bit the story, especially from Sandro Sancioni, who used to play with the Creep Show. He is a guy that used to play open-handed, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
that was one of the things that I had to adapt myself to do. So Sanders' drum parts, he would lead with his left hand, right? Being open-handed. So a lot of the things that he would do, he will lead with his accents on the left. So for example, he'll be doing a pattern on his floor tom, doing doubles with his right, but accents with his left, and coming back to the snare. And I'm just trying to figure out how to play that because obviously I play standard, thinking like, what am I gonna do? But then I realized something. I'm a left-handed by birth. So I sort of like managed to figure out how to do a roll, for example, and fall into a part, and then just simply do a double pattern, and then you switch, and then I'll be leading with my left hand,
Mhm.
and that's sort of like my approach with that. But anyway, so for the creep show, my intense 5Bs were absolutely perfect. But then I started playing with MakeWar. We do have a few sort of like fast punk songs, you know, the tupa 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 tupa. But mainly it's pretty sort of like groovy and heavy and sort of like sit right behind the beat. It reminds me a lot of like hot water music, the flatliners, all that, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I felt that having the 5Bs, I wasn't showing, or if I wasn't reflecting as much power as I wanted when I was playing the parts. So I thought maybe I should switch to maybe bigger sticks and see what happens. So I did, and it was immediate. Immediate. I just fell in love with that weight, and now I play 5Bs. Sorry, 2Bs when with the Creepshow too.
Okay.
So I think I found my happy place with the 2B sticks,
Mm-hmm.
even though that I played 5Bs pretty much my entire life.
Yeah, because I started playing well, my brother is a drummer before me, so I just played whatever sticks he had.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a particular artist's signature model, which would have been, I'd say, somewhere between a 5A, like somewhere around that range. So they were very thin. But being a big Dave Grohl nerd at the time, I flipped them backwards, and that kind of pissed him off because he'd go to grab his sticks and it was all chopped up.
Of course, and it got blisters and
And right,
oh my god, yeah, slivers in his hands.
yeah. So then I gravitated towards like the 5B, and then I went up to using the rock model. So I mean, and those things are just like cannons, they're like baseball bats.
Yeah.
Um, but I find like because the rock is a smaller diameter than the 2B, but
Yes.
they're longer.
I
They're the
didn't know
rocks are
that.
six the rock they're 16 and 3/4.
16 and 3/4.
So they're
Wow.
almost
Okay.
17 inches long.
Actually,
Whereas the
I don't even know what these ones are exactly, but I can tell you right now because I got a
16 1/4.
16 1/4. Wow, that's crazy. I got a
I'm a
measuring
nerd.
tape right here. Wow.
Yeah.
Bang on.
There's a reason why I got this gig. No. Yeah. So those are thicker than a rock, but they're shorter. Yeah. So the rock is yeah. So I find they have a really nice weight to them.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll use a rock for my left hand for my snare, and I'll
Okay.
use a 5B or a 5B intense for my right hand for all the cymbals, the hi-hats, and the ride stuff.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it kind of
Interesting.
gives a more fatter backbeat on the
Yeah.
snare.
Super
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I might need to ask. I've never tried the rock ones. I might need to ask Phil for a pair in my next order
Yeah.
to try them out.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. I usually right now I switch between 5B and the rock.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at now. Um, yeah, but I mean they're all great sticks, really.
No, they're amazing. Every single pair that I've had, like it's amazing. I tried the white hickory, red hickory, the maple hickory. I found that the maple didn't like me. Maple ones didn't like me too much because I'm a rim shot hitter,
Yeah,
and I would just demolish them.
yeah.
But the red hickory and white hickory, they last forever, especially to
Mhm.
someone like me that I'm so heavy-handed, and I'm someone that who train himself to play, especially with punk music. Every single time I hit my snare, it's a rim shot.
It's a rim shot. Yep.
So I used to go through sticks like crazy, but I don't anymore because Los Cabos just make some of the best sticks in the world.
100%. Okay, so I have for the last part of the podcast, I don't want to take up your whole evening.
Oh, good.
Um, I have it's called the crash questions.
Okay.
So they're kind of they're not really quick fire, but they're kind of silly questions. But I really like getting kind of into the weeds with some of this. So the first question, so where's your happy place? Like when you're finding yourself in a groove, would it be on the hi-hats or on the ride
On a crash.
or crash? Okay. Yeah, I usually crash my ride, so
Yeah,
yeah.
me too. Me too. But
Yeah.
I have a really beautiful right now, and I don't wanna break it. And so I don't try not to crash it too much because it's like my baby. I don't want to do anything to it.
Yeah, crashes are easier to replace than a ride.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Especially in the pocketbook, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, so what would be your favorite or oldest piece of gear that you can't live without?
Favorite or oldest piece of gear that I can't live without. Whoa. I think my snare.
Hmm.
My snare. Currently, I've got my snare that I try to take on as many tours as I can. This snare has been in the entire world. I got a DW Collector Series. I think it's silver over nickel. It is 14 by 6.5, and this thing it's a shotgun.
Hmm.
And I play it normally with an Emperor X on the top. And yeah, that is my favorite piece of gear.
Yeah. That's the head I have on mine now. I switched between Emperor X and the CS Black Dot.
Okay, have you tried the control sound?
Yeah, that's the CS Black.
Oh,
I haven't
that's
tried
the CF Black. Okay,
yeah, I haven't tried the coated version, but the clear.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
love
Yeah,
that
yeah,
classic 80s shotgun snare sound.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The coated one, it's amazing.
Is it?
Pretty sure that's what I used for the MakeWar record, actually, which is actually coming out on June 28th,
Nice. Can't wait for that.
the first day of our European tour.
Nice. Look forward to that. And that 6.5 depth for a snare is a magic number. Like,
It is.
yeah.
It is.
Um,
Well, something pretty cool that I can show you because you're gonna appreciate this, especially working for a company that works with wood. Speaking of 6.5, before working for Drumeo, I was working at a local um, kitchen business, just building kitchens and stuff. And sometimes you have to like scrap wood and stuff, and you know, so I get to play with it. And they had some hardwood, some walnut sitting around. And I became buds with a guy called Nick Angelini, who's the drummer for A Wilhelm Scream. Nick has a
Great band.
great band. So Nick has a company called Well City Drums, where he makes staff shelves. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try that out. And I got
Oh,
so this is something that I started
you'll
like
have to you
a
have to
year
bring
and a
it
half ago.
closer. There you go. Yeah.
I started like a year and a bit ago, but it's just everything from scratch.
That
So
is awesome.
so yeah, I'm hoping that the end product is gonna be a 6.5 by 14, but like the whole sort of like routing of the outside came out perfectly. The measurements that Nick gave me were spot on, and yeah, it's getting there.
That's beautiful, man. That's going to be your new number one.
Oh yeah, that's what I hope. That's gonna be my to go forever.
Mhm. And it's probably pretty heavy too.
Oh yeah, walnut. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super heavy.
Yeah. Okay, next question. This is kind of a weird one. But I ask everybody. Do you prefer cake or pie?
Pie.
Nice. We can still be friends.
Awesome. Good to know. I mean, I lived in Australia for like 11 years, so meat pies are something massive in Australia.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so if you could time travel to any event or live show, no, so in the past or, alive or dead, that kind of thing, what show would you want to be at?
Queen Live 8.
I had a feeling based on your previous comments
Yeah.
about Queen. Greatest frontman of all time, hands down.
Greatest frontman of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I I work with someone in the company in Drumeo on Misora. One of my colleagues, she went to that Live 8, which is crazy to me. So when I found out that she went, I freaking lost it.
That's nuts. All right. So what would be your proudest accomplishment?
um, whoa. I'm not sure. I'm not sure to be honest. I guess just being from a third world country, such as Venezuela, who that used to be considered the most dangerous country in the world, and the most dangerous city in the world for a few years in a row. Being from a place like that, going through things that I had to go through, which I guess one day I'll get to tell you all the stories. But I've been kidnapped a couple times. I've been slashed in the neck living in
Whoa.
Venezuela. So and that was sort of like some of the reasons why I had to decided to leave the country. So for me, my I think one of my proudest achievements is having the drive to leave the comfortable the conformity of home, being so comfortable living with your parents and all that, and then being from a place like that, and then just decided to travel to the other side of the world by yourself, and then just taking opportunities as they came, and now, getting to the point where I'm in a band that is in my favorite record label of all time. It's pretty special. It's super special, dude, and I'm super proud of being able to achieve something like that.
That's some powerful stuff. That's like anybody that's watching or listening, like just go for it,
Yeah.
right?
And then never stop. Like so many no's throughout the years, so many jokes, so many bullies, so many people used to, make fun of me in high school growing up because I used to be the different weirdo one who used to wear spikes and I listen to like weird music and just wear like Bad Religion patches and no effects things, and I was like the weird kid, especially like a very hardcore Catholic high school that I used to go to, and just push through all that, not take a no for an answer, not take shit from anybody, and just keep going, wanting to achieve, ultimately what was my dream. My dream was I wanted to be part of a touring band to go and meet people, play awesome shows, and that was sort of like my ultimate goal. And here we are.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. Congrats to you, man.
Thanks, man.
It's amazing. Um, I mean, you played with a lot of bands and you've done a lot of prep for a lot of bands. Um, what is a band that if they called you right now, no rehearsal, no nothing, could you go in and sub for?
Um, The Offspring,
Yeah,
like no questions asked. I could play like the entire catalog with
nice.
without even thinking about it. I feel.
Cool. All right, so kind of a jumping point from that. Um, so what drum part do you wish you had been the person to record?
Ooh, that's such a good question. Let me think of this. Thinking of bands. There's a song by Strung Out who it's been my top T favorite bands for a long, long time.
Jordan Burns, man.
My very first tattoo was the Atom, Strung Out Atom, and Jordan Burns. It's just a magician. I got the chance to meet him. I got the chance to hang out with him. I got the chance to like really connect with him, which was amazing. And there's a fill in the out of a song called Velvet Alley, which is out of the first song of An American Paradox by Strung Out record. Um, at the end of that song, there's some crazy shred like guitar parts in harmony with like another guitar, but then Jordan does this absolutely insane fill, and yeah, I wish I would have wrote it. That's
Nice.
definitely one I wish I would have wrote.
Yeah, for me, Strung Out oh, they're one of the greatest punk rock bands of all time. For
Mhm.
me, one of my favorite songs of theirs is Rotten Apples. Like just
Oh yeah,
that ride pattern, the hi-hat, and then the fill leading into the song
oh,
is
mind
it's
blowing,
just so tasty.
mind blowing. And actually, I got to see them 2 weeks ago here in Toronto.
Yeah.
They were on tour with Les and Jake, and I
How's
believe
their new drummer?
Daniel Flam. I sent him a message. I didn't get the chance to catch up with any of them because obviously they were busy and stuff in backstage. But this was the first time that I got to see Daniel Flam playing. No, Daniel Bloom or Daniel Flam. I'm so sorry. Well,
Not sure.
if you listen to this, Dan,
Daniel. We'll just call him Dan.
I'm so sorry. Um, yeah, it was my first time seeing him play, and whoa, dude,
Yeah.
whoa! It's probably the best strung out drummer that band's had.
Yeah.
Like it was so solid, so in the pocket. His fills were just like so powerful, coming out of the fills just with so much power straight back at the beat, just like with so much intensity. If you get the
Yeah.
chance to see Strung Out, like right
Well,
now,
bucket list, yeah.
oh dude, my
Um, because their drummer they had just before him was pretty good too.
very good. I think he's playing with some metal band right now.
Yeah, he's with the metal band now. Yeah.
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 What's his name? RJ.
RJ, yeah, Shanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I got the chance to meet him at Pusa a couple years ago. He's a super nice dude too.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so this will be the last question. So if you had a CD stuck in your tour van, which one would you not want it to be?
Which one will I not want it to be?
Yeah,
So a record that I don't like.
basically, but yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to tell you exactly the name of the record. I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't remember. But it's a record by one of my favorite bands of all time, Bad Religion.
Oh wow.
It's
Into the unknown.
Into the Unknown. Yes, it's
Had to be.
they definitely went into the unknown with that one. That will be a
Yeah,
record that I would not want in my tour bus.
yeah. That's awesome.
Anything else from Bad Religion? Yes, please, but not that
Absolutely.
record.
Yeah. Yeah, that what a pedigree of well, just everything they've done, but their drummers, like,
Oh, dude, the
I'm
drummer,
a huge Jamie Miller fan.
me too. I
He is
love what he
amazing. Yeah.
does. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many bands that have had so many incredible drummers. Like on top of my head, a band that has had the most insane lineup of drummers is Suicidal Tendencies,
Yeah.
which I'm actually playing a show with them in actually our first show on your European tour in June 28th, which is the same day of our album launch. We're playing this festival called Jera on Air, and we're playing with like Architects, Sum 41, Suicidal Tendencies. Like the lineup is absolutely crazy. So it's gonna be. I was so excited that I was gonna see Grayson the Crudman
But
playing
no, yeah.
with Suicidal Tendencies, but
Yeah.
then things happen,
Jay Weinberg now.
and even like exactly. So going to Suicidal Tendencies, that band lineup of drummers, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like you had from Brooks Wakerman, who is one of my favorite drummers of all time, to someone like Eric Moore, who is one of the most animalistic people that can sit on a drum kit. That guy's
Mhm.
just from another planet. Then to Grayson the Crudman, Jay Weinberg. Then it's also Brandon Pritzborg. I don't know if it's
Pittsburgh, yeah, it's a hard one to
yeah,
say. He's with the Offspring now, isn't he?
yeah, who's with the
Yeah.
Offspring. But he
Yeah.
actually left. He left Suicidal Tendencies, and he was for the Offspring, and he was replaced by Grayson.
Mhm.
And now Grayson is in Sepultura.
Yeah.
And we all know exactly where the drummer from Sepultura is going to go.
That's like going to be the worst kept secret ever. I mean, even the
Oh,
teaser, people are like, "Oh well, that's Eloy's drumstick." Like,
like you guys didn't hide that too well. That's
no,
exactly his drumstick.
yeah,
That's the brand he plays with. That's the weight he plays with.
yeah, yeah. But it's going to be awesome when he
He's
does.
gonna be
Yeah,
awesome. I
yeah, yeah.
mean, I'm not sure if you got the chance to see like some of the drum covers of Slipknot he
Oh
did
yeah,
on the pandemic.
yeah,
Whoa, what an animal!
yeah, yeah. But it's like because I saw an interview with Corey Taylor, and he's like on the way out. So and having Eloy join the band, they're talking about it being kind of like the second coming of the band. So how long is that going to last, or are they
Hmm.
going to get somebody else to take over vocals? Like,
Whoa, who knows? I mean, I don't see anyone else replacing Corey Taylor in that band.
no,
To be quite frank,
no, his range, he's just too good.
it's unbelievable,
So,
unbelievable. What a frontman too.
mhm. Well, I got to say, man, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for
No, dude,
doing
my
this.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, the time
I
just goes
actually
by.
I actually said to him like, should I smoke weed before? And she was like, nope. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to then.
Doesn't matter. I can't smell it from here. It's fine.
Okay, good. But the conversation wouldn't have been so smooth if I had. So I'm glad that I didn't.
Maybe. Yes. Well, that's awesome. Well, I do hope that I get to meet you sometime, like if
Yeah, I'm
you're
sure you will.
playing, anytime you come into, like, do you have any dates coming up in Atlanta, Canada at all?
Yeah, so next month, I'm doing a small run of shows with MakeWar towards Pooza Fest. And then we're playing on Pooza Fest weekend in Montreal. I think we're doing something like 3 shows on
Hmm.
Pooza or something. But then once the new record comes out, we want to go everywhere.
Hmm.
Everywhere. So that's hopefully the plan for next year. Do
Yeah.
like a inclusive um more inclusive tours of like different city, different parts of countries. Because like for example, I haven't had the chance to do West Coast of either Canada or the States with Make War yet. Only done so like East Coast and stuff of the States. And then in Canada, I've only gone as far as like Quebec City,
Hmm.
when we're talking East.
Yeah. So east, you'd be looking at places like Halifax, Moncton. There's a lot of really good like clubs. like smaller clubs.
Yeah.
So it's not like huge rooms or anything like that. But I mean, if it's a punk rock show, it's usually it's usually better in a small club.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to go there with MakeWar. So hopefully, the Creep Show. Not sure what we're gonna do. Sort of like had few hiccups here and there throughout the last few years, but band's still kicking. Ben will be calling it over the next little bit. I don't know exactly when.
They've been around for a long time, though.
Yeah. But we're hoping to do something special to sort of like end it on a high note, and the band's time on a high note. So that's sort of like the plan for the future for the Creep Show. But with MakeWar, yeah, we're gonna go play whatever they ask us to play.
Awesome. Well, like I said, hope I can catch you at a show.
Oh, I'm
Thanks
sure you
again.
will.
Thanks again for doing this, and say hi to Emily for me.
I will, and thank you for making the best sticks ever.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode with Alejandro Serritiello. We're going to be back in a couple weeks with another great episode with another amazing guest. I've got lots of guests lined up. I've had a few conversations already that I'm working on getting them put out for you guys. So thank you so much for listening and watching. I'm going to have the links to everything Los Cabos in the description, as well as for Alejandro and the Creep Show and MakeWar and Drumeo and all that stuff. So until the next one, do take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you in the next one.
Tell me, do I want this?